Hi everyone, my name is Sarah. I talk about sustainability here. If you think that's cool, go ahead and stick around and press subscribe. If not, maybe watch a couple more videos and see if that's your thing. Today we're going to be talking about the why of travel. And I really wanted to make this more of a sit down kind of conversation-y video because it's a lot of opinions and more personal stories. So don't have a script, just have a couple key bullet points and get my raw, unedited, very slow speech. So I hope you enjoy that. To start off, I've been thinking a lot about travel and making videos about sustainable travel. The reason I started this YouTube was I came back from France from a study abroad, and I really had this unease and this disconnect between what I valued, which was sustainability and learning more about climate change, and this value of travel, which I thought had made me the person that I am today, and I couldn't see why anyone would not want to travel. And as I started making videos on this channel and learning more and really getting to know a lot about issues of justice and environmental problems that, are bigger than those that just affect me, I kept feeling that unease. And that's one of the reasons I haven't made videos about travel and sustainability in a little bit, is because while I do think it's important to talk about, there's two main things that kind of stop me from making videos. First is that I just don't see it as something that people are really willing to change, where a lot of other issues like veganism or, the personal impact stuff or even the political impact, I think that people have more of an open mind in trying to change those in their lives. And travel is one of those things that people they're like, don't touch my travel. And two, I don't think that cutting your individual travel is that impactful. And of the personal impact solutions, it's like one of the best things that you can do to reduce your carbon footprint. But I think that there are so many bigger environmental issues that I care about much more now that I know about them. And it seems to me that travel was just something that I chose to talk about because I had already cared about it in the light of like personal benefits and yada, yada, yada. So with that out of the way, let's get down to some of maybe the main reasons why people are traveling and kind of talk through and see if we can kind of answer this main question that I wrote down. There's no answer to it, but can we still justify traveling in a time of our climate crisis? So let's try to do that. So one of the reoccurring themes that we'll be talking about today is the word privilege. And I'm really talking about it in people who are choosing to travel for leisure, in taking time off work, and can afford to travel. That's kind of the main subset that we're talking about in the why travel video. So one of my problems when people say that travel is to challenge yourself is it really just seems like an uneasy kind of way to describe something. So if in your daily life you're not challenged enough because of the privilege that you face, that you think you have to go somewhere else to like experience a challenge and to become a better person because of it, then it doesn't sit right, to be honest. The next reason that people say is that it's kind of a combination to learn about the world and to have, it expands your perspective. So we'll kind of do these together. I feel like learning is one of those things that people say is a reason that they travel, but isn't always in their actions. So speaking from my case, I spent a lot of time in France, and I really I learned about the daily stuff in French culture. That was from like studying abroad. But when I was traveling, I didn't learn much. I learned that France is a beautiful country. I learned that I can't speak French. And I learned there was a cool museum in Marseille. Can you really, for those people who have traveled, let me know in the comments. Is there a fact that you remembered in a museum that you wouldn't have already known had you just read a book? Was it really that impactful of a learning experience? I don't know. And the second part of that is expanding your perspective. And I want to read a quote from this article I read about why travel. And it says, you realize that there is no one way to live. Wow, so insightful. Like, come on. Yeah, obviously people around the world live differently than you. Hopefully that's something you should have learned in history class, or just living a life. There are different ways that people live, and I see the argument of, yeah, but you don't know exactly how they live unless you're there. Another reason that people give is that you get in touch with yourself and really get to know yourself. And again, I think this is something that you can just do at home. Maybe I'm really off base here. That was one of the really big impactful things I thought about travel, was that I just had time to, sit and reflect and really just stare out train windows and be dramatic. But I don't know why I couldn't have done, like, if the point is to have that time for self-reflection, do you really need to be in a different country? I don't know. The next one is one that gets me a little mad, when people say that you travel to appreciate the life you have at home. Hey, so especially when you're talking about traveling to countries that are less wealthy than the one that you live in, mostly the global south, and you see it as an experience that humbles you into being like, wow, I just love my McMansion and my 3 cars and Zooey Mama. I just love my life. Like, really, that's just, and I know that's not all people, like, when you're saying, like, I appreciate the life I have, blah, 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 and some things, like, maybe you appreciate the little comforts that you have at home or stuff like that, but other countries aren't there for you to just, like, project your, I don't know how to say this without sounding like a tool. You can appreciate your life by just taking a step back and appreciating your life. Like, I understand the when you're away from something, not particularly in a different space, but when you're away from something and then you come back to it, you have these fresh eyes. 100% get that. But to say that your life in your country, in your home, is just so great for you because you went and visited somewhere that, when most people say this, they're talking about poorer countries, it's just bleh. The next reason that people give is having an adventure. And this one I don't think I can really argue with. When you're talking about experiences, there are certain experiences that you can't do where you live. Like in San Diego, I cannot go skiing. That is a fact. No, we're not even gonna go there. I cannot go skiing in San Diego. So that's an experience that I'd have to go somewhere else to have. And so you could argue, oh, why don't you just go to the closest mountain range to go skiing? If you really wanted to go skiing, why do you have to go to, like, the Alps? And I would fight myself back and say, that's true, but what if the experience I'm seeking is skiing in the Alps? What do you do about it then? There's no way that you can match that experience with something that's closer to you. People talk about this one a lot in more of a, when they're talking about why other people travel, you don't really admit this to yourself, but it's escaping the what is it, the grind of daily life, and you escape to go somewhere else and to forget about your worries in your life. And I just think that's so sad. Like, to think of your life as something that you work however many weeks a year to have those 2 weeks of vacation, and that's your form of, like, pleasure in life, when you could, I mean, obviously not everyone is in the place to just quit their job and do something more meaningful. But for those who are already privileged enough to be traveling so often and do it as a break and as escapism from their work lives, just get a better job. I don't know. I know it's not that simple for so many people, and that's a pretty flat way of explaining that. So now that we've kind of walked through some of the main reasons that people choose to travel for pleasure and for leisure, what if you just want to go? So look, I'm not going to sit here and say don't travel. I will sit here and say I think most people should travel less. But I'm already, I know, talking to a very specific subset of people when I say that. People who have traveled more than once, which is not the majority of people. I've been wanting to go to Sri Lanka. I know nothing about the culture. I don't know if I could even point it out on a map, and that's a problem. But the only reason I've been wanting to go is because it's beautiful, and I see these train pictures and, Instagram kind of things. But then I stepped back and I was like, oh, I know nothing about this country. Why would I go somewhere just because it's beautiful? But I think that's one of the main reasons that people travel, is because it's somewhere that they've seen that is beautiful. I would like people to think more about the why, and what are your motivations for going somewhere else. And especially if it's a long haul flight, what's your why? Is it worth the cost? And you can think of all the costs that pertain to you. I would say watch my videos and see like the environmental or social costs, but there's also the monetary costs, of course, that you pay a lot of money to go on a trip. But are those things in line with each other to where you feel comfortable saying, yes, I think the benefit that I'm going to get from traveling to a place is enough to outweigh the costs, whatever they may be. I don't know. Do we like this format? I feel like I just ramble and say a lot. And yeah, it's a little more like, hello, hi friend, and more of the, that parasocial relationship. But I like to have things written down, and I like to have those talking points. But I don't know, you tell me, would you want to see more of these kind of unscripted videos? Subscribe if you wish, and I will see you friends in the next one. Bye-bye.